Before this big bang, before this big bang, nary a peep, save his first paints he carried in the valise, this turban bowing and praying in the east, murmuring loudly, painting as Matisse, hating the Mounties of Canada, baking brownies black as Allah, tasting batter on the spatula. This Drake's a rapper and Dracula. Nature gathers round his castle as we enter. This sane rapper's grey matter as the weather. These brain clouds unfolding as grey mist. These new gods we behold as atheists. You've got to hold on to your faith in this blue dot in the cold of space as this pond or the frozen lake. This font in boldface upon this gold plate, forgotten as old names. I can't stop using cocaine, a man lost in this stone maze, as Coldplay reappraised, flowing for days, cold as the roaring waves of this Atlantic, slaying dragons with his magic, estranged neighbors or romantic, love lovers mythic as Atlantis. Honest and pious, this Thomas Aquinas, blogging his lies to us, soft as a diamond to touch the point of my lyrics. A joy as clear as the tears of the earless, hearing this. Unholy wisdom, his livid hatred of color-coded systems of discrimination. These businesses siding with the truth of love. Widows rising in the cruelest month. These loose screws attacking elegance. His blue hues, their red defense. Sent to hell again as Eminem, contending with the fretful elements. The merry devil of Edmonton. Selling mescaline, also E, and a special leaf that dissolves in your tea. These tall trees of Vancouver, this ungodly black ooze, wasabi his black truths, ginger with attitude, this redhead ruddy with rose lips, leftly bent and loving as Ovid, this artist drunkenly holding the harness. The sophistry of perception, crawling beneath God and heaven, tall trees falling and bending in the wind, sight peering through the lunette, this brunette Hyperion to this Tutex, his who's next, echoing through New Westminster, this breath, echoing through Coquitlam, his vision, echoing through Burnaby, this earthly vanity. These purple panties, as an orator, this Cicero, consorting with the invisible. Cudgeled by the haters, you fall in the ditch, an underrated rebel altruist. Trouble raised to treble the volume, a couple based in double solitude, picnicking on the grass in the shade. These shark-free happy days. Hard to see these gravity waves, elusive as the baseball. As wooed with his mating call, her romantic fatal fall. They had to play their violins, valid as the gay science. These black waves rising, as swam the great leviathans, under render the rowboat hazardous. These hobos nomadic, hacking this Tinder capitalist. That pimp and pandarus, as central to this golden orrery, these men upon the cold and roaring sea, step from the boat onto their shore leave, as special and old as this quartz agleam, as sesame open spake the 40 thieves, mentally both cold and warm as the tea is, this red coat torn to pieces. Please find precarious this Socrates, riding in a chariot or on a velocipede, enclosed these hermetic whatevers. Here lies a Buddha, reified as true love, clear as ice cubes in the cup, and deified as Numina, growing these shoots and sprouts, a Rakim moving the crowd, personified anoesis, a mad secret, in flannel and jeans with patches on the knees, leaning on the lime tree like a Chinese proverb. These bright leaves, like the idea of honor. These smiling similes, like the eyes of a Greek philosopher trying to free the minds of these followers, getting it on, like a page cut from the Satyricon, unable to adjust to this weird song, like a fear of swans, distrusting this poetry. Mud honey in the headphones, pushing money into the telephone, pushing a tape into their VCR. These DJs drinking PBR, watch them walk home. The baseball hipsters, more noxious clones of Adolf Hitler, not unknown. To have played golf in the winter, comfortably numb, and drained of all his vigor, this sensitive tongue. The rainfall predictor out in the sun, as that St. Paul's epistles were unhidden from those great tall lizard birds, these simple tongues, who conflate all of literature, the livid tongue of an Adolf Hitler, though truly it is pronounced Adolf Hitler. Last call for liquor, alcohol quitters, the flash of raw silver. These tasers porcine, hatreds we normalize, as rain falls for 40 nights, venicing our pregnable city, red as the ink correcting his poetry. Fingerprints on this evidence we magnify, fingertips always wrestling with the black tie. Perfect versing as Cupids aim at him, disturbing wording this lubrication of their truthful lucubrations, proving Zeus the new Satan, this vicious swan we reject. Critics of Lacan and Zizek. thinking of wealth from his podcast, drinking the health of his comrades, this white ratified black radical rap, not quite as satisfying as the capitalist tracks, the soul of an Andrew, thrown out of grad school, burning my weed, unlearning my degrees. I sat and read under the trees, naked branches as large fingers, playing jazz as Charles Mingus. As I read Chaucer in the Middle English, my boss approaches with the pink slip. Now I'm homeless and drinking from the ditch. In a sentimental mood, stepping gently upon the roof, this feline rhodomontade, a freestyle squashed as the grapes, immersed in my jihad, these purposeful deep thoughts, this Van Gogh his ear lost, as tourists on the streets of Prague, directed from a kiosk, this exorcist and demonologist, independent as fleet foxes, this steep fall as from a bridge, unraveling as he plummets, this master of puppets, ever toiling, these hands employed on a ranch, protecting what's left of the dinosaur, stepping to the edge of the diving board. No mortal so formal this black pond, flowing for the span of this song, a cold river babbling along, a literature in which salmon spawn, surviving the sylvan and driving as the milkman, dining as W.C. Williams, on plums these recognitions for future black Canadians, using the past ancient as furniture Scandinavian, assembled as his faith in man from random acts of kindness. In Gaza, this Samson eyelessly catching barracudas, splashy as Vancouver is, natural as a lunar eclipse, and human as the witch, regretful of the fruit he bit, and heading out lugubrious among Vancouverites, coming unglued tonight, his endless babbling. Can you tell he's had a drink? These edible schemes and tropes, his head full of demons and ghosts, vivid as the green picnic, these images, illiterate as the sea Pacific, these critics, drowned in an estuary, his mouth spitting legendary passages, pithy, this aphorist, this Andrew, in black ripped pantaloons, navigating these unceded territories, masturbating this seminal oratory, as crows descend and rend our refuse. So these men pretend as Glenn Goulds, malingering malcontents, drinking alcoholic beverages, pretentious as the void devoid of pretense, the fence destroyed as the trees bend, contemplating Plato. I take my waking slow, walk in a gray raincoat, and make great poems, hydrogen, helium, striving for freedom, nitrogen, carbon, hiding his heart on, the sailor on the high seas, ejected from the winery for overindulgence, the sour sweetness of the grape, These beetles overrated, treacle we tasted, needles in the hayloft. These stray thoughts, deterministic chaos we carelessly utter. The terza rima structure as we pontificate, descending into Dante. This holy Catholic, his scope galactic, proudly useless, profound his salubrious, chaos bound this Vancouver, came not pound by usura. The psyche on the couch neurotically, a Pisces speaking out against astrology, striking out in the baseball analogy, flying about as the rain falls randomly on Vancouver streets. In the kitchen sipping a strawberry Fanta, steam rising from a colander full of pasta, unmindful of the poverty in Africa, remembered as fossils in the strata, insane as the slaver's biz, this black property, hurricaning the language this graduate, his college degree, fading into this ancient abyss fast as you'd fall from the tree, made in the maker's image, these branching sophistries. Limbs powerful, precarious as the whiskey sour he holds, swaying on the rooftop terrace, hating the truth of his awful marriage. This mammoth frozen in the past, this haddock frozen behind glass.